So I made a mistake. You might be asking, what was it? Well, I said that pressure was good, when it's clearly not. What it actually is a Doors ripoff. But wait a second, that's what I would say if I was an absolute fucking moron. Listen, 2 months ago I made a piss poor video talking about pressure, which didn't actually go over everything. So to rebound from my idiocy, we're gonna re-rate the very game to really find out if pressure is actually good. Let's begin. To start us off, we'll get out of a submarine that brings us to the Huddle Black site. And at this black site, you find yourself encountering multiple entities while at the same time trying to figure out where exactly this crystal is. But today I'm here to take a different approach as we first encounter the easiest monster to avoid, the Wall Dwellers. And the Wall Dwellers are these humanoid monsters that have no arms. But if you take a close look, you can see that they have a special coating that helps them blend in. But what these guys do is cowardly sneak up to you and kill you when you least expect. However, if you're paying attention, you can hear when they come out the wall and you can also hear their little footsteps. But there's something that's oddly good about seeing these guys. If you couldn't tell, it's the fact that you can eat them after they're killed by a node monster or a turret. But that's not all. These fuckers provide passive healing. So not only are they vile threats, they're also tasty treats that grant a nice buff. But you want to know what else is easy to avoid? The Void, or the Puddles of Void Mask, this tentacle bitch. But you see, the Void is this locker monster that traps you in and eats you inside of the goddamn locker. However, if you happen to have a friend, it gives you a chance to get saved from impending doom. But these monsters may seem really easy to avoid. However, in pressure, things get really stressful. So if situations are dire, you might have to hide right away. And no disrespect, but most players have a short attention span. So they'll most likely just ignore them, and then of course they're gonna fucking die. But wait a second. You know the reason why you need to hide in the first place? Honestly, take a wild guess. I mean, maybe it's because of... Now the Angler is a monster that's also monsters. And yeah, I know that made absolutely no sense, but it kinda does. I mean, it has so many different versions of itself, it even has some that are better than others. Or better? You can make your own opinion on this, but look, the first Angler is this basic Angler, the original. And this one basically rushes down the hall at a normal pace. But then there's the Angler's fast cousin, Blitz. And Blitz does the same thing the Germans did in World War II. And no, I don't mean that. What I mean is Blitzkrieg, basically rapidly attacking and penetrating through the battlefield. That's exactly what Blitz does, as it gives you little time to react. And mind you, the only way to actually counter Blitz is to either hide when you hear it yelling, or hiding in a room or somewhere that's considered a safe spot. But you know what I hate the most about node monsters? It's the fact that they remove any lights in their path. It pisses me off. But there's one who doesn't do that. One that happens to have the most polite name out of the bunch, yet seems to be one of the ugliest. And that one is called Pinky. No, not the slime from Terraria, this one. But look, Pinky is this version of Angler that's not actually pink, but guess what she does? She doesn't flicker the lights, and she makes a loud sound that will catch you off guard and cause you to hide if you're an idiot. But ultimately what this will do is get you killed. And by the way, she travels way slower than others, but there's still one that seems to be way slower than she is. And that one is called... Chainsmoker's the green apple version of the Angler. And although he's slow, he's still a deadly force that comes through the hole at a turtle-like speed. And honestly, I'm gonna start a theory going right now. Chainsmoker's not some sort of Angler. Instead, he's a goddamn turtle. I mean, look at bro's walk speed. Fucking dog whistle. But listen, Chainsmoker is one of the most helpful out of the bunch, as he leaves a nice little trail that you can follow to the next room. And the reason why I say this is because I use Chainsmoker to get out the ridge. But guess who makes it really hard to survive in the ridge? This ugly bitch named Froger is this rebounding Ravager. And let's be real for a second, if you played basketball like me, you know this bitch is basically Dennis Rodman or that random crackhead at LA Fitness. Go crazy! But anyways, Froger can rebound about 3 times. The first time is a quick burst, the second comes right back, and the third waits before trying to catch you off guard. Look, at the time that I'm making this video, she has about 3 rebounds, and depending on when you're seeing this, she can have a randomized attack pattern, so good luck and don't die. But hold on a second, I'm not done. The next monster is one that's carried over from an older, outdated game. And if you've experienced him before, you know who exactly I'm talking about. A60, aka the Multi-Monster, is this absolute menace that gives you a brief warning before violently attacking you. And you see, he used to be rare, but they made him a bit more common in order for you to experience true pain. But that's not the last thing to be worried about, as there's many more things that will hurt you in this deadly black site. Speaking of things that will make you suffer, we have the next monster, Squiddles. And Squiddles is this motherfucker that loves to destroy you when you happen to be pointing a light in its direction, or either standing way too close. But wait a second, you probably shouldn't use a lantern when you're nearby. But now, you come across a room that's confusing, as you see 2 similar exits. So you decide to go up to one, but you hear something odd. You slightly hesitate, but you still decide to go in. However, instead of simply getting to the next room, you're met with this absolute amalgamation called Good People. And this creature only warns you with growls and electrical sparks. So are they really good at all? But we move back a little bit in our journey, as you remember a green light that captured your eyes. But you managed to survive this encounter. However, you come across this creature again, but unfortunately, you use a flash beacon, and the monster is even more angry than before, score as the light changes from green to red. But of course, you managed to survive. However, you met this creature yet again, and for some reason, you decide to outrage the infestation. But instead of red, it turns into purple, and now the motherfucker doesn't give a shit where you are as he decides to show up anywhere. And guess what? You better not get to 15 HP or you're fucking done. But let's skip ahead, where we came across a monster that was pretty similar to a node monster. However, instead of always showing up and following a set path, this monster needs to see you in order to pursue you. And of course, the very monster I'm talking about is called Pandemonium, which is my favorite monster in Pressure. But listen, Pandemonium is unique as it has this mini game that occurs when you decide to hide. And by the way, if you fail, you're punished with death. However, if you're not in a locker, you die anyways. But there's spots where Pandemonium won't actually see you, so he's not gonna go after you. Anyways though, have you ever wondered what would happen if you left somebody behind in Pressure? Well, to answer that question, that person will be teleported by Mr. Loopy. And Mr. Loopy is this tall, dark figure that mostly manifests in multiplayer runs. But look, after Mr. Loopy is my least favorite monster, Vultus Luminaria, the lemon-faced UFOs.
Hello, how are you? I am under the water.
And I have to say, these guys are mostly harmless, as they'll only kill you if you're standing in their light. But the thing that's interesting about them is the fact that they only show up in these rooms. But as I said, they're not that bad, as you can either just follow behind them or just hide in spots where the light can't touch you. But now we have the motherfucker who's responsible for all these monsters being out.
Don't do that again. I warned you.
The guy that seems friendly but in reality is just using you to gain information. And by the way, he is to be killed on sight. And mind you, this guy murdered about 9 people before Urban Shade got him. But the truth of the matter is that Sebastian was actually innocent. However, I'm not here to give you a whole rundown of the lore. But if you ask me, Sebastian is no ally of the player, as it seems like he's here to help you to only gain, rather than helping to help. But look, we're done with the common monsters, so let's take a quick look at the miscellaneous ones that I won't be discussing. But anyways, if you want to go and experience these monsters for yourself, you should probably go play the game. Pressure is pretty good. But look, I've narrowed down almost everything, so it's about time to talk about the core events that take place. Starting with... the beginning has you coming out of a submarine and starting your exploration of the Hadal Black site. But after the beginning is a section that I call the half. And at the half you find more angler variants and more monsters. While at the same time you meet with Sebastian and buy more gear. But moving forward you continue your stressful journey encountering creatures called the Searchlights. And after the Searchlights you find yourself at door 100, making your way to the ridge. But at the ridge you find yourself suffering, as you not only have to avoid environmental hazards, but you also have to avoid hordes of entities that want to send you to the afterlife. But the next part of the game has this banger music. I mean, just take a nice little listen. But look, this part is what I call the finale, and basically you search for these broken wires while at the same time trying to avoid the searchlights. But after you fix all of them, you power this on and you backtrack. But unfortunately, you're confronted with the searchlight once again. However, you decide to use your brain, and you wait until it's the right time to go, and you swim feeling that anything could go down, and suddenly this happens. The trench bleeder stomps on Vultus Luminaria and you get the fuck out of there, quickly running to the submarine and getting on, seeing these texts that end your visit to the deadly Hadal Black site. Look, we're done with the events that take place, so there's only a few more things for me to talk about. But as I said before, I don't like editing that much, so here's a brief summary of all the items alongside some extra stuff I didn't really mention. And I do want to say, if you're really curious, pause the video to look at everything yourself. Now before we move on, there's also more items and rooms that may be added by the time you're watching this. So if you have any idea on what they are and what they do, mention it down below in the comments. But anyways, we're pretty much done with this basic recap, so it's about time to get into the overall rating of Pressure's Floor 1, which is basically the whole game for now. Pressure gets a solid 108 out of 110, which is the highest rating I've given so far for any horror game. And I will say, Pressure's a dope fucking game. I mean look, in my opinion, I think it's top 3 as a horror game on Roblox. And no matter how you feel about Pressure, it's actually good and you have to admit that. But I want to be honest here, Pressure is not 110 yet, mainly because 110 from me means that the game is perfection, meaning that the game has absolutely no flaws. However, Pressure is very close to perfection, as the game doesn't have that many flaws. But look, there's things that I like about Pressure and I don't like. However, I want to be fair and actually say stuff that I like first, mainly because I forgot to do it with Floor 2 and just other games in general, and I feel bad about that. But look, Pressure does a lot of good things. For example, the fact that you can buy revives with in-game currency, and on top of that, you can also look at your stats, see what you died to, see how you died, and you can also get a free webcam option that doesn't take long to get. I mean, they have a whole lot of stuff, and they even have a story that we see actively unfold right in front of us. And guess what? If you want to learn more about it, you can actually read through the goddamn documents. You don't need a dev to come out and tell you about it. But that's not all, as they frequently change the map and they try to keep you engaged, and I respect it. They followed in the footsteps of one of my favorite Roblox horror games, Doors. But of course, there's things that I do have to criticize and set aside my bias for. Number one, I don't like the ending, and I'm not saying that it's shit, but I'm saying that it has no real impact on me. Respectfully, just give us a cutscene. It doesn't have to be something that's better than the gameplay, and it doesn't have to be something that falls in that same type of Doors style, but it should be something that's suspenseful and actually builds some suspense that leads you into the next part of the game. But of course, there's more things I don't like, one of which has to be the difficulty scale of the game. I mean, respectfully, Pressure is a game that is difficult in a good way, where you're experiencing and adapting to new things. However, the ridge is the hardest part, but it appears after 100 doors, which in my opinion is just something that's way too late. I mean, respectfully, at first I was like, it works, but after you play it over and over again, I guess that feels that it should be the ending itself. In my opinion, the final part is just way too easy. Make something that's much harder, add something that follows us and makes us actually die. Now we're done with that shit, all that yapping I just said. Now I want to talk about some things I said before. Now last time what I said was that Doors was a game that inspired Pressure, and Pressure was a fan game of Doors, which is something that was in poor taste. Honestly, I want to be honest here, I thought that Pressure was going to be a new concept on Roblox, and that's not really a smart thing to go into with Roblox games in general, but the reason why I thought that is because I saw the game was blown up, right? I saw hella people playing the game, and I did not watch or see anything on the game, and I also didn't even read the description, so I just played immediately, which is why I was so heavy on that inside my video. But look, initially I'd only beaten Pressure about one time when I made this little review, and I didn't play it again, so that's something you shouldn't rate games off of, and you should actually experience them and play them a lot more in order to give a valid rating. But moving back to my original video, I enjoy the support. I mean, seeing 54 people liking my video was something that was great, and to be honest, you guys should have criticized it a little bit more. But look, instead I got comments that did criticize it, but didn't criticize it in a fully right way. For example, this comment said that everything I said in my previous video could be said about Doors, because Doors took Rooms and made it better. When yeah, that's the case, but what nobody talked about was the fact that Rooms is an older game that hasn't been updated in 3 years. But Pressure, however, took various aspects from Doors and other games, as Doors is the only game that they're inspired by that's actually on Roblox. And really quickly, I want to say, Doors was still being updated, so that's kind of why I said my stupid take back then. But on top of that, I just want to say, this is not like a war between Pressure and Doors. One game is going to be better, one game is going to be worse. That's how it is, right? With most of this stuff. Like, don't have a yap session about it. Love one game, love the other game, you can love whatever the fuck you want. But look, to say that Doors ripped Rooms and just put it in their game, like as if Rooms is some vast and extravagant game, is kind of crazy to me. I mean, respectfully, Rooms only has 2 monsters and the game is about infinite. There's not much that goes on but sound design, and the game only gets darker. But look, I gave my original take, this person responded with this, and to be honest, I don't know how they interpreted my response, but I didn't think I said anything that warranted this. But look, let's move on to another comment. This one right here actually has some good and valid points, and I just want to say thank you for actually giving me some criticism and pushback, right? I like this because I feel like my review on Pressure originally was kind of shit. But look, for example, they said that Doors is a fan game of Rooms. I just don't see that, but I do want to say this is probably in response to my idiotic take saying that you know, Pressure was a fan game of Doors, which obviously it's not. And honestly, I want to say too, I was saying that to make people angry. This was not like something that I actually believed in. But look, Doors share similarities and obviously they're inspired by them, but it's not a fan game, and neither is Pressure. Pressure's not a fan game of Doors. Doors is not a fan game of Rooms. But look, they responded with a great comment that's actually good. I mean, look, it helped me in the long run and it helped me summarize more parts of my videos, so I respect this person for helping me make improvements. Respects to you. But listen, Pressure is good, and honestly, they took aspects and they changed them, which is something that a lot of games do. And here's the thing too, people have to realize that Pressure is not some fucking Doors ripoff. It took aspects from Doors, made it their own. That's what they did. So do not sit here and say that this is a copy and paste clone without actually providing actual good evidence and good points. But look, go play Pressure for yourself and make your own conclusions. Don't just hate on the game because you love one game more. I love Doors infinitely more than Pressure, and I can put aside my bias to realize that Pressure is equally as good. But hey, I know some people think that my videos are just a waste of time based off of the goddamn title and thumbnail, but I don't know if you guys know this. Clickbait is something where you can do it and actually say opposite of the way that you feel, right? You can say the opposite of the way that you feel and post it, right? put it in the thumbnail, put it as a title. You can say that, post a video. When I'm asking a question of, is Doors actually good, or is this actually good? It's a fucking question. I'm not saying that it's bad. And if I put bad or shit or this or that in the goddamn thumbnail, it's clickbait. But look, that ends today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Pressure is definitely one of my favorite Roblox horror games alongside Doors. And if you actually want to see my review and what I thought about Floor 2, you should probably go watch this.